I lived in fear growing up. You know, I had parents that were able to put food in my mouth, a roof over my head, and clothes on my back. But other than that, there wasn't no extracurricular things that went on. I come from something called generational poverty, which means it's not 5 years, it's 10 years plus when it comes to the families. Not highly educated either when it came to my immediate family. And my parents both worked at a newspaper company. My dad was a forklift driver after he got out of jail. And my mom was an inserter for papers. And if anyone knows what that is, that's a really fun job for somebody to do for 28 years of their life. They had me when they were 17. They got together when they were 14. They both left their family homes when they were 14. My dad was the black sheep of the family. And so they had me at 17. And I don't know, I guess they didn't get a manual on how to be a parent for some reason, right? And I got to see alcohol on one side of the family, which was my immediate family, and that was like the happy party times where I didn't get to see violence, right? These people were all having a great time, and I would look at that and be like, I can't wait for this. This is going to be fun. But then on the other spectrum, my grandmother's house, I had an uncle, and that's where I got to see the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In the daytime, he was, you know, the fun-loving uncle, but then when he'd come home at 3 o'clock in the morning when he was completely annihilated, he was a different man, and he put fear into me, you know, like I watched him do some pretty crazy things. He would smash everything around the house. He threatened my grandmother. He was just an animal. And, you know, fast forward to where my addiction took me, and I was the same way. You know, it's kind of like a Pringles thing, you know. Once you pop, you can't stop. That was me. I didn't have an off switch. And it started early because all that fear and anxiety that I was riddled with for my life, all these events that would happen, I learned that there's something reliable that I could use to get me out of myself so I could escape reality. And every time I tipped the glass was to kiss reality goodbye. And I did a really good job of it, you know. I'd be the last one up when it came to those parties. I would not stop until everything was gone. And I didn't look at that as a problem. I was trying to fill a void that was unfillable. You know, for a lot of people who I talk to who have addiction issues, for some reason there's a relatability there. I was trying to fill something that couldn't be filled because it's an inside job. I had to really lose everything. It got to a point for me where I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize who I was anymore. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know what work was going to need to be put in. I was using to end my life. And it started with one substance and ended with 9. And it got to a point where it was on a day-to-day basis. And I didn't know what was reality, what was real anymore. I didn't know who I was. And I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize who I was looking at. And I got to that point where it was like, what do I do? So I made a decision, and I had to do it on my own. And, you know, I didn't have a background where I could just go to somebody and be like, you know what, I need help with this. It was I had to do the steps myself before I even knew what the steps were. And I went to a place so that I could fill out for treatment, and I went to a short-term treatment center. I was there for 21 days, and then I went to a long-term facility in Brockville, Ontario. I was there for 363 days. I lived with 76 different people, all men. And at 76 of those people, of those 363 days that I was there, what do we have for time, Vicky? Okay. There's 5 people who are still clean and sober today. I'm one of them. 14 are dead. Hey, I just listened to suggestions from other people, and I realized that I didn't want to die. I wanted to live, so I wanted to really learn what the other people were doing, you know, because I didn't want to go back to what it was. And they told me, hey, man, if you pick up again that obsession and compulsion that was gone, it's going to come back. And I got to watch that over and over again with people. You know, that person who would come up to me and be like, James, I don't know if I can do this. They're at 8 months. And I'm like, trust me, you know, don't leave 5 minutes before that miracle happens. Don't just think that you can go out and do that one time and everything's going to be okay. I lost a lot of people that way. Right now, the total is 151 people that are no longer here because of addiction just in my life. That's from September 13th, 2015, which is my sober date. During that time, go to treatment. When I finished treatment, I realized that what I wanted to do, because I was able to learn how to love the guy that I looked at inside the mirror for the first time. I realized that I wanted to help other people because I was at that point where I was using to die. And now I actually wanted to not just live, I wanted to exist, I wanted to thrive, I wanted to excel. And all these stories that I told myself, I believed because that was the only story that I knew. And I was able to change that by challenging it. My favorite quote is, "Get comfortable at being uncomfortable." And I started to do that in every area of my life. I challenged every one of those thoughts. You know, there was a lot that I dealt with growing up where there was car crashes and fatalities, and I lost family and I lost friends. And there was, you know, terrible situations. There was like 38 funerals that I went to since the age of like 12 years old. And I learned a lot about desensitization. And feeling didn't work, and uncomfortable feelings weren't there anymore. I was numb. And I knew there was something reliable that if I ever had that uncomfortable feeling, I can get rid of it. Today I know that I need to feel, and I got to be grateful for being able to feel. Doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's there for a reason. It's there to teach me, and I've been able to learn a lot because of that. And today I'm an addictions counselor at a treatment center. I've been there for 3 years. From a guy who was in high school who couldn't get past a 50 average, right? Because I never applied myself because I was too busy focused on other things that were going to get me further in life. After I was done treatment, I went to school. And I just wanted to pass, right? I was so happy to know that I could be in school. I just wanted to pass. I graduated with distinction. I finished with a 3.83 GPA. Never been to school before. And after that, it was like, you know what? Everything that I've told myself, I got to remember that there's an addict living inside my mind. He's there, and he's waiting, and he's going to be patient. He's going to wait for me to make that mistake, to feel like I'm all alone again. When those walls are closing in, it's going to be there waiting. So it's out there doing push-ups in the parking lot. Well, I'm going to continue to do the same. I'm going to work that much harder so that I don't think for 1 second that I need to go do more research to find if I'm an addict, because guess what? I know. My track record shows that I can't use just one. And the best part about that is I don't want to. I got a desire. I got a daily reprieve contingent on my spiritual growth. And on a day-to-day basis, that's what I do. And I've been able to stay clean and sober because of it. My life today is completely different from what it was. I never thought it could be here. I was told by everybody that I was going to be the one who was going to die from my addiction. A lot of those people are no longer here, and I still am. So I'll be the voice for them. Thanks for letting me share.